Hey there, everyone. Thanks for watching this short video. I wanted to introduce myself. I'm John Fuller. I have been a marketing consultant for the last 10 years, been in business for over 20 years. And I'm always looking for great products and services that would help benefit my clients and just the business community. So I came across, our paths came across. I want to introduce to you Patrick Laing. I was really impressed with what it is that they have to offer. I thought it would be great value for the businesses that I encounter on a regular basis. And I thought this interview would just be a great opportunity for Patrick to kind of introduce himself as well. He is the managing partner of Certainty Management and offering cost reduction services that I really think is one of the best services available to business owners of every size. So Patrick, thanks for being on this interview. I know this was kind of a last minute thing and we don't have any real big script, but I've really enjoyed connecting with you, learning about who you are, what you do. I'm very excited to actually offer your services to the business community that I'm in relationship with. And so Patrick, tell me a little bit about yourself and how Certainty Management came to be.
Sure. I appreciate it, John. It's really good knowing you, and I'm glad that our paths crossed and we're working together now. Our background as a company, we've been in business as a cost reduction firm for 8 years. We've grown over 100% per year in that time. In fact, we had a record year in 2020 while many companies were struggling. I have about 30 years of business and sales and training experience, and the founder of our cost reduction partner, Nuquo, is a very good friend of mine. We've known each other for 25 years. I kind of have watched his career and he's watched my career, and ultimately we ended up working together, and now we're helping customers. Instead of selling something, we're helping customers save money, and it's really a refreshing approach, or kind of an invigorating experience, helping customers pay less rather than buy more. So,
well, one of the things I really found unique is with your cost reduction services is that it's really performance driven. And I love companies that do that. Maybe explain, what is the cost reduction service that you provide?
sure. Well, the saying, put your money where your mouth is, I guess, or where the rubber meets the road. We refer to what we do as a no downside cost reduction option. Okay. Most cost reduction comes at a cost. You have to cut out payroll or programs and benefits or even people, especially lately. We're just coming through the tail end of COVID, hopefully. But a lot of companies are looking for ways to cut costs, or having to furlough employees and so forth. And we're very proud of our service that doesn't require them to cut anything out, to change anything, to buy anything new. Literally, they pay nothing upfront or out of pocket. And we do that in often overlooked area. It's a niche, I guess you could say, but it's an industry that is very large, multi-billion dollars per year, unregulated, with no checks or balances and very little transparency. And what I'm referring to is the imaging technology industry, the office automation industry. Everywhere we look, everyone we know uses printers, copiers, and scanners, and we know that most of those are paying much more than they have to. We come from that arena. We know what to look for. We know what to cut out. We know what to change. There's much more to it, but long story short, when we work with our customers, we're an industry insider who switched sides about 8 years ago, and now we sit on their side of the desk and help them save money. And it's really, as I said, it's really refreshing, and the customers are thrilled getting the insights and the help and the representation, as it were, that they get from us.
So with, especially with last year, I mean, last year was just a time that, businesses were rocked to its core in almost every industry, except for some big box environments. They actually grew exponentially.
Sure.
But tell me a little bit of why this is such a great cost savings for businesses that are looking at their now when you say office equipment, what is it exactly that I mean, you're very specific. I mean, you don't have a variety of cost reduction, because I've seen cost reduction companies out there and they'll have like 15 different things that they're doing, but you're very specific. You're very single-minded, and maybe explain that a little bit.
Right, sure. No, just as you said, most cost reduction companies out there are kind of jacks of all trades and masters of none. Not to say there's not some very good companies, but most of them come in and assess everything under the sun. Your telephony, your utilities, your accounts receivable. I mean, the list goes on, right? But there's a difference between a specialist and kind of a surveyor, if you will. Okay. Some of those companies will look at their print copy expenses. They will look at the company's digital imaging or their what we call office automation. But the extent of their recommendations are kind of limited to, print less color, or let's put it out to bid and we'll see if we can get you, we can negotiate a better price. And they usually can help a little bit. Oftentimes they actually they've negotiated or contracted with one, maybe two vendors or manufacturers in the industry, and they've negotiated a little bit better price and they're able to pass that on to their customers. So it's not to say that there aren't companies out there that are looking at the copier and printer contract expense, but what they do with them is not from a specialist standpoint. It's not data driven. It's not really analytical. It's just a little bit of negotiation or a little bit of margin trim. We're completely different. Okay. We are experts at printer, copier, and scanner contracts. We come with, over 100 years of experience on our management team, and we know what to look for. Okay. So we do a very in-depth analytical, data-driven analysis. It shows us several ways to help you save. We help cut your cost. We help save you money. We can manage an entire RFP without your team having to do that, without really knowing what they're doing and getting bogged down in the hours and hours that takes. We have relationships with over 400 vendors across the country, and they know that we know what they know. So it's a completely different conversation. We actually have a database of all the manufacturers' net pricing. And so we know what the cost is. We know what's a reasonable markup. We know what is exorbitant. We also are saving our customers millions of dollars all over the country and around the world, and each year. And in the process, we have a very large footprint. And so it doesn't matter how large you are. You could be General Electric, but you plus all of our clients will always be bigger. And as a result, because of that buying power, because of that extended reach, we qualify for discounts and pricing and promotions that no one client can on their own. And so collectively, we're able to really affect a big difference by knowing what to look for, having those relationships and having that buying power. It's pretty extraordinary. We save our customers 30 to 60% on average, and they're always surprised by just how big a change we make without them even having to change. Remember, we're 100% vendor impartial. We're not representing that one vendor or those two vendors. We represent and work with all of them. Even saying we represent them is incorrect. We represent the customer. We work for the customer. And yet, because of that, that unbiased, they get an honest response. Once we do our analysis, which takes just 1 week to complete, we present our findings, and we'll tell them if they should change or if they're in a good spot. It's rare. We find a customer is in the best contract they can be, but occasionally that we see where we recommend they stay where they are. It just doesn't make sense for them or for us to make a change if they've already secured, a really great price. And so in most cases, though, we can affect significant change without them having to change anything. We do all the work. It doesn't add to their their workload or anything. And they're always surprised by just how much we can do. So
you said a key word there. You said vendor neutral. So you're not selling equipment or service agreements. Explain again. You're vendor neutral. That means
it's very important. It's probably really our foundation, if you will, is that we are not a vendor. Okay, we don't sell equipment or service. Oftentimes, as part of our process, we can help our customers upgrade their fleet of equipment, their devices at no cost to them, no out-of-pocket cost. But we don't sell that equipment. We're not a vendor or a manufacturer's rep. Okay. We are truly vendor agnostic. Okay. We represent the customer, as I said. We work for the customer as an extension of their team. We analyze the data, collect it, organize it into a really simple way to understand and follow. We present those findings to the customer, and then ultimately they make the decision. They're in charge. We work for them. Okay. But even when we do an RFP, which we do for especially our larger customers, we receive all those bids. We organize the data into a really simple, easy to follow kind of side-by-side comparison. And we grade those bids, but it's not based on what we think. It's based on criteria that the customer has given us. So that's about as far as we go, as far as directing them one direction or another. We do grade them based on which one came in highest to lowest price and which one scored highest to lowest based on their criteria. And so for the first time, many times, our customers have this clear understanding of what they have, what they're paying for, how much it's costing them, and what they could be paying, and in many respects, and how they could improve their contract. It's important to understand that we don't just help with price. The price is on the front side of their contract. All their terms are on the back side of the contract. And so we go in and slash their pricing, but we also go in and clean up the terms and conditions. It's not uncommon for us to strike out 50% or more of the fine print on the back of that contract and add in addendums and remove loopholes and things that are not to their benefit. See, this entire industry is set up for the benefit of the manufacturers and vendors, most of whom are overseas. We're the first company that we're aware of, and we have no competition that we know of that is representing the customer's best interests. In fact, that's why our name, our cost reduction partner name, for whom we're an authorized affiliate, their name is NewQuote. And they came up with that. People think it means new quote, which I guess you could go there, but they came up with that because they wanted to establish a new status quo in the industry, a new way of doing business where you're not alone, you're not guessing, but you actually have an expert representing you, similar to a great attorney representing you in court. Or a great mechanic who takes care of your vehicle, looking under the hood, making sure it's running right. Those are both pretty good examples of what we do. So,
yeah, I've looked at some of the case studies, and I've listened to a lot of the testimonies. And what I really find quite impressive is that you're able to work with a very broad spectrum of entities, of businesses. Anyone that has a minimum, that's spending a minimum of $1,000 a month on their service agreements, up to multi-billion-dollar companies. So that's an amazing reach to be able to approach companies of any size. But one area that I've got a really specific interest in, is that I'm a co-founder of a nonprofit organization, and I really saw the value of being able to actually bring an infusion of cash into the nonprofits, because as all nonprofits, we're donation based, and we're always looking for ways to stretch our dollar and to make it go as far as it can. Can you kind of explain how your relationship with nonprofits works?
I can. I think, again, one of my favorite things there's a couple of things that I really enjoy about what we do. First and foremost, we can help anyone. You could stand on a corner on Main Street and look in any direction and see customers for NewQuote. From the small barber shop with one printer buying toner every 6 months, we can help them get a better price on toner, get free shipping, 100% money back guarantee. We can help them. The city offices across the street, the university down around the corner, the manufacturer across the railroad, we can help any of them either cut their toner costs, their printer costs, or reduce the cost of their contract. But my favorite, so I really enjoy the fact that we can help people. They pay nothing up front or out of pocket. It's really an extraordinary, opportunity. But my favorite is helping nonprofits, like you said. These can be universities, schools, churches, it can be foundations, We even work with hospitals and others that maybe aren't nonprofit, but they have fundraising branches, because we come in and do three things for this type of nonprofit. This is a newer program for us, but it occurred to us that we could help so much more than we already were. First, we do our analysis, which is we do all the work and it's no cost to them, no out-of-pocket cost. And we can potentially save them hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars, depending on their size. Now, we work with clients of all sizes, from very small to very large. We have multinational corporations, public companies that are our clients, and the list goes on. But with a nonprofit, some sort of entity or organization that is seeking funding, right? It could be a school, a church, or whatever, as I said. Not only can we come in and do our analysis for them, but we can then, if they desire, serve their network as well. We can serve their donors, serve their alumni or their fans. And if we have that sort of relationship where they're referring us to others, which some can, some can't, we understand that. But if they refer us to others, we turn around and donate a portion of our proceeds back to that organization. It's really a fantastic referral because they're not asking someone to buy something. They're
Right.
not endorsing a product or a service that it's going to cost that customer money. All they're doing is saying, hey, we just saved a significant amount of money, and we think you could too. In fact, I think from, say, a university standpoint, saying to one of their donors, we really appreciate how you've supported us over the years. We couldn't have done what we have without you. We wanted to repay the favor, and this is one way we can hopefully do that. In fact, it can also benefit the university even more, but it's going to benefit you the most because the customer receives most of that savings. So in short, we do the work. Customer keeps 70% of whatever savings we find. So they get the lion's share, 75% if they're a nonprofit. And we would take a portion of that and donate it back to the referring nonprofit. There's actually a third way to, it keeps getting better, but there's a third way to benefit them as well. And that is that not only do we donate those proceeds, or will we donate that portion of the proceeds on the first go around, but whenever a customer renews with us, which over 90% of them do, we'll turn around and donate a portion of those proceeds to the customer. If that customer refers us to someone else, we'll donate a portion of those proceeds back to the original nonprofit. And so it can really add up. I mean, it's a newer concept, as I said, but we're very encouraged by it because the response has been almost overwhelming, very positive. Just a way, truly a way to help these organizations accomplish more, create more scholarships, do more research, serve more congregants, or whatever the case might be.
Right.
And with that third benefit, so we do our analysis and save them money. If they refer us, we can create more revenue and donate the proceeds. And the third one, we're really creating this perpetual endowment fund that can continue to pay them for years to come. As I said, most of our clients renew. They want to get the pricing. They want the support we provide. There's no reason for them not to. And that just creates this permanent, almost residual infusion of funding for those nonprofits. I always say if I was a billionaire, I'd write you $100 million check, but I'm not, and I wish I could, but I can help in this way. It's an area that can be very expensive. The savings can be significant, and in a process, we can help a lot of these types of customers as well. So we're pretty proud of that aspect, pretty excited about what we're being able to do. So.
Yeah, the more I heard of what you offered, the more excited I was. And it just ticks all the right boxes to me because, again, it's cost reduction. Who isn't looking for, cost reduction in a business?
Right.
There's no cost to the customer. So you come in and you're performance driven. So if you don't save the money, you don't think you can save the money, there's been no out-of-pocket expense.
Right.
The other thing that I really appreciate and enjoy with this is that the simplicity of actually implementing your services, because you would think this would be fairly involved and very time consuming on the part of the client, right? The company. owner, especially a large corporation, I mean, how much paperwork is involved, but really you don't require a lot of information to be able to do your analysis. Maybe explain what is actually, how simple it is to get the process started.
You bet. It's very simple. All we need to do our analysis is we need a copy of your current service agreement and your current lease agreement, if you have them, your last 3 monthly billing statements, and a copy of your W-9. That gives us your legal name and address and so forth. That's it. As I said, our analysis takes less than a week. And again, it's an initial analysis to see what savings we believe is there. We present our findings to you, and then we decide if you'd like us to go to work and go get it for you. And it's almost 100% who say yes. Really, the only reason we wouldn't do the work is, again, the rare occasion we find a customer we can't help, or secondly, there can be timing issues at times where at least we want to wait a little bit before we help them. So it's not a no, it's just it's a let's hold off for now and let's work on this next year.
Right.
And so you understand, but we have almost 100% who, if we do that analysis for, end up moving forward with us, because it's kind of a no-brainer. There's no reason for them not to, if there's savings to be had. So
yeah, well, you know what, I kind of didn't want to make this too long, but I really really value you as a person and the way that you represent the company. I mean, it's not a salesy thing at all. This is just about having a conversation of just dealing with, just simple fundamentals in business. And, there's not too many companies out there that are performance driven in this way that can create savings of up to 30 to 60% in a particular area of a company's finances. I think that's a huge plus. Mm-hmm. And I just like the professionalism and yet the non-sales salesmanship that's involved in this. I mean, this isn't about hard selling anybody. And the other thing that I really liked is that if a company loves and likes the vendor that they have, they don't have to change vendors. So they're able to stay with their existing vendor. I think it's amazing that you've been able to build this relationship with the vendors to be able to offer the kind of savings that you almost think that the vendors would be a little bit upset with you. How have you been able to manage that relationship?
As I said, we work with all of them. So there's no favoritism. There's no, there's no representation of any one or the other. There's no one manufacturer owns more than 5% of the market. And so they all want to carve off pieces of the other 95%. So they love the opportunity to bid on new business. So granted, they're not thrilled when they hear from us representing one of their existing clients. Nobody wants to lose margin, and they know that we know what they know. As I said, they know it's going to have to come down to be in the running, right? But they, as much as they don't like getting that one, the next call we get is, "What else do you have for me? What else can we bid on?" And so it's kind of an interesting dynamic, a little bit of a love-hate relationship, I guess. But we have it's working, and in many respects we are their largest customer because we're bringing them so many opportunities to bid on and to try to win, and albeit at much lower margins and these price ratios that they don't love, but they want new business, even if it's at a smaller margin. So right. If that makes sense, there's the customers are the ones who are ultimately winning the most. We're getting new clients, and the vendors are getting new clients as well, or keeping clients, albeit at a lower rate, but keeping clients that they would have otherwise lost. And so it's about 50-50. Our customers stay with their vendor because they're happy with them. It's about 50%, though, that weren't having a good relationship. They're not happy, and they're open to considering new options, and ultimately they end up switching. So it's working. In short.
Well, Patrick, it's obviously working. You said the company's been growing 100% a year. Last year, in the midst of COVID, it was their best year ever. Yeah. It sounds like a great win-win relationship that is created through your services. And so I just wanted to thank you for taking the time to do this, this interview. I think there's nothing but a great future in store. And um, again, thank you for doing this interview. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure. We're here to serve. If we can help anyone or anyone you know, please send them our way. We'll take good care of them. So,
Okay. Thanks, Patrick.
Take care.
Bye.